What does a good writing day look like?
Good writing day looks like I get up and I've had a successful previous day writing, and I've left the script at a point where I feel that I've done my work yesterday, so I'm not feeling guilty or bad or under pressure, and I can just start up again and get my work done in the morning. I mean, emails and all these other things, and just work, and then take lunch, and then come back and maybe 5, 6 o'clock wrap it up. Now that depends on how many pages a day I have to do. And as I say, many days are good solid days and other days are not so good. And not every scene is going to be, on the level. And then there's other days where it's magical, where you blow through a sequence and you write 2 days in one day. So you're ahead of the game. So it varies while you're in it, but it is kind of, I'm going to say scary, but once that, the starting gun goes, and you I always look at the calendar because of my due date, and I've agreed. And then like on the last assignment, we had an interaction for some other reason about another project with them. And I said, oh, by the way, I'm on target to turn it in on Monday. And they said, oh, thanks, and they didn't bug me the whole time. They're not sniffing around saying, hey, are you, because they know. I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but they know because I've worked with them before, and they know that they don't have to be sending that how's it going? Email of being antsy. They just leave me alone, which is a great place to be.
Right.
So a good writing day is, like I said, having a good, now again, if the day was crappy before, you get up and you do it again, you know what I mean? Just, it's a day after day, and it's amazing what you can accomplish in a month. I mean, when people think, oh, this big ordeal about writing a script, it's going to take me 6 months. It's like, maybe, but if you structure your time properly, and I do have the time because of my job, you structure your time properly, 2 pages a day, you know what I mean? You'll have something finished. And it's just doing it. And most people don't do it. That's the thing.
Why? Why do you think they don't do it?
I don't know. It's, a lot of it's fear, maybe. A lot of it's, I'll get to it tomorrow. And there's always something else to do, and it's difficult. And so if you're writing something that you don't really care about, why are you going to go back to it and just be like, oh, and if you're not getting paid, that's another, I don't say great incentive, but when you're getting paid and you sign a contract, that kicks your butt, into high gear rather than just, but you have to, that's what I'm saying, when you're writing your specs, you have to treat it as that. It's like a second day job, it is. If you just, and I'm not saying you have to do 10 pages a day, but if you do 2 pages today, and like when I was working at the law firm for 2 years, at lunch, I would write by hand, but I wanted to not just sit there and be like, so every day at lunch, that was an hour, that's 5 hours a week, including the time at night. It's doable if you just plan it out,
So you're looking at the due date, then you're looking at how many pages, and then you're putting sort of a red X on a calendar, mm-hmm. and you're basically doing how many pages a day?
Well, it depends on what I'm given, but this last job I worked on was 3 pages a day, which was a luxury.
But that's not normal, right? The 3
No,
pages?
3 to 5.
Oh, 3 to 5.
Yeah, the really hard scripts are 8 to 10 when it's a short period, like a rewrite, where it's like, we need this in 2 weeks. You're like, whoa. You hang up the phone, you're like, okay. And like this year, you're always learning. I had to become a faster writer. Not that I'm a slow writer, but I would take my time, but not as fast as, and I knew if I was going to be taking more jobs, I would have to be a faster writer. And would I just do that on my own? I was forced to do that by challenging myself, which I think is very important, to always challenge yourself. And many times we don't challenge ourselves unless we come up against something which challenges us. And so that was a particular job. So I accepted the job, and then I was like, oh, wow, okay. And I knew I could do it, but at first I didn't think I could do it. And so I went back to my old techniques, and it's funny, sometimes I forget them, and someone says to me, you should buy this book. I go, really? I go, yeah. And they start talking about it, and I go, oh, you mean my book? And they go, yeah, you've forgotten your disciplines. I go, you're right, you know. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. You gotta, you know, it's funny. But yeah, that's...
And incidentally, just to throw this in there, your book is now at the Santa Monica Library, which is where you
in high school, I used to work there as a page, which is shelving books. It was a nice, clean job, you know. And so now it's how ironic that years later my book is at the library that I used to work at, you know, and I had to go in the other day. I have 4 copies.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And it's right next to, you know, there's John McKee and Truby and you know, Screenwriting for Dummies, and then there's my book. And I'm like, oh wow, do double take, and it's been checked out, you know. Since they've got it, it's been out, you know, people checking it out, so that's good.
And you came across that by accident? You just kind of went in there and then...
Yeah, it was. They have some of my DVDs of movies that I've written, you know, and you know, they order things, however, and so it was cool because it's nice that people can access it, and then maybe, you know, it's a kind of book that is not just a read in one time. It's, you can go back to it many times. I think that's how I wrote it, where you can, you know, pick it off the shelf and look at a particular thing and say, I'm going through this problem, you know, and maybe it would help you with that type of thing. That's how I wanted to write it, was the fact that you could, it's something you would keep, you know, next to your computer, and you could go, you know, some books you read once and that's it. But, you know, it's about all these things I've been talking about, but surviving, you know, in the trenches as a writer, or living a writer's life.